the Agent Orange, we didn't know how dangerous it was, but we were glad to see him because that would disperse of the dense jungle.
I was there during the Tet Offensive. Khe Sanh was surrounded for 77 days. To me, it was out of the frying pan into the fire.
Did you sustain any injuries or wounds in combat?
I was flying off aircraft carriers. Of course, that's a crash landing every time you land. And I had 2,554 crash landings, I figured that. And my back and neck eventually started giving me a lot of problems.
I'm 100% disabled. I've lost 30% of my ventricle. I'm blind and I'm deaf.
I was wounded September 19, 1968, firebase called Rock Pile. We took about 15 casualties that day, but we gave it better than we took it. My name's Larry Wilson. I'm from Decatur, Alabama, and I was a Marine in Vietnam, 1968, 1969. I was up around the demilitarized zone my whole tour. That is the line that divided North and South Vietnam. I was in an artillery unit which we fired fire support for basically anybody that needed artillery. Our job was to support the infantry units. I was there during the Tet Offensive. I was at Khe Sanh and got reassigned to another unit. To me, it was out of the frying pan into the fire. Khe Sanh was surrounded for 77 days. I made it to September 68 before I was wounded. Enemy artillery firing at us and we'd fire back, shrapnel, legs and hand. We had about 15 wounded that day.
I guess all of us have some form of hearing loss, whether we recognize it or not.
What'd you say?
I got superficial wound on the forehead and arm. When I got wounded, we lost 3 people that day.
My name is George Herring. I was in Vietnam from April 1967 till September 1968. Main job was to help set up communication site. We were in and out of the trenches. This particular night, I was going to guard duty, and a friend of mine was on guard duty, and when a mortar hit, and I started running toward the bunker, then another one hit, and I got shrapnel and it knocked me over some rocks, the cliff, and I was bleeding badly and messed my arm up and I busted my forehead. I got sewed up by the medic, but I never applied for Purple Heart. I didn't realize that I could get a Purple Heart. And being the type of person I was, I went to airborne school, and once you go to airborne school, you're taught to be a man. And you don't whine and cry about little bruises and stuff. So I just got patched up by the medic. A few days, I was back to normal, and we had to go on recon and secure our perimeter, and we spent a lot of time being exposed to the Agent Orange. We were there when we would see the plane coming over, spraying the yellow dust, as we call it. We were glad to see him, because that would disperse of the dense jungle. It'll kill a leaf, within 12 hours. The leaves dried up and they're dead. But the Agent Orange, we didn't know how dangerous it was, but it helped us out. We were able to see the area that we were patrolling in.
Going back to a question about your view of the use of Agent Orange in Vietnam, if you would make any comments on that.
Well, it's caused the death of a lot of guys. It was meant as a defoliant. I don't know what they knew about it when they did that, but it was not a good decision, as we know now.
If we knew then what we know now, a lot of things would be different. VA has ruled that I'm 60% disabled because of Agent Orange, the heart, and sometimes I'm short of breath.
Well, I think at the time, it had a purpose. It was a godsend in ambush areas around fire bases to defoliate. But I don't think anybody knew the long-term There was nothing used before that for that purpose. And right now, I'm making a liar out of a doctor. I'm a survivor of head and neck cancer. They gave me 3 to 5 years in 2014. I'm still here, so I made a liar out of it. But it was a tough trip too. I think I'd go back to Vietnam before I do it again.
When you get to the point where you're at war, where your survival is being challenged and you're doing everything you can to stay alive, you make decisions based upon that daily struggle.
That's right.
Whether you're going to live another day or not. So I guess when you're faced with a threat that wants to kill you and take over your nation, you weigh in a balance, what do you have to do to win?
Well
Of course,
said.
the government, I think, did a big mistake in ignoring the consequences of
That's
that
right.
action. They should have come out right away and said, all right, we did this, it's hurting people, let's fix it, let's get them help. But they've denied it, denied it, denied it. And I think it had a lot to do with the rationale of people's feelings against the Vietnam War and the Vietnam veterans.
But when I was there about 4 months, I lost all my hair. So you're 21 years old and you don't have any hair on your head. That's kind of scary. But it was the effect of some kind of agent or something out in the jungles and out in the paddock and that sort of thing. One of the lowest moral points in the human life is to kill another human being. The Agent Orange is just one of them. It saved lives, it took lives. The point that I have with that is once we start to discover the side effects and the issues related to that, what bothers me is the slowness of the government and the denial of these things and the support of these things. That's what troubles me most.
How could a government of the United States of America authorize the use of chemical warfare on children, old people? The heart of their food source is rice. And we attempted to defoliate the entire nation. There was no discrimination on what Agent Orange was dropped on. Even on our own troops, Marines are suffering, Army are suffering from it, and a few Navy. The Navy admitted it gave me stage 4 cancer.